everyone, it's part 3. As you know, Captain Underpaints. Let's get right into it. Products a pair of dogs. Mr. Miller approached to Doctor. I have some advice both of you, said Mr. Miller. But too bad, said the police, because we're not going to follow any of your advice. Is that so? Said Mr. Miller. Then I advised you do not follow my advice. The two doctors were confused. Well, we're not going to follow that advice, said the publicist. But if you don't follow that advice, do not follow his advice, said the other doctor. Then aren't were we following his advice? Now wait a minute, said the publicist. If we follow his advice, do we not follow his advice? We are still following his advice. The two doctors became encouraged in their deep critical confrontation that they didn't even notice Mr. Miller walking out the exit door. Now it's our chance to escape too, said Miss Rebel. The other teachers followed her out right past the increasingly confused, frustrated doctors. All the teachers and staff of German Highlands Elementary School were now free. They followed Mr. Miller up into the tall hilltop and watched him and wail as he looked out of the horizon. Most people, in Mr. Miller's permission, had used their newfound genius brains to end the world hunger and bring peace to humanity. But the last things on Mr. Miller's magnificent mind, Mr. Miller's was still a gym teacher, hearted, you see, and everyone knows most gym teachers are evil. Chapter 8. 3 more chapters. Why can't be friendies? It occurs to me that, said Mr. Miller. It occurs to me, said Mr. Miller, that our regular problems have been caused by willful and disobedient children. I heard of that, Mr. Crump. Silence, you fool, said Mr. Miller, shouted. If we are already requisitioning is obedient, we must proceed with precedence and acumen. I'm not sure what those words mean, said Miss Ruthbooby. But I agree 139%. Me too, said the other teachers, seriously. Then you must follow my every command, said Mr. Miller. You must all return to your jobs and go about your business as usual. Nothing is to look suspicious, but But we want to be evil too, said Miss Wicked-minded. Patience, my dear Maniac, said Mr. Meter. We have a hydrous steer with a hydrous sneer. There will be plenty of time for that in days to come. Chapter 9 Crimes and Misdemeanor. A few days later, school was back in session. Teachers was taught, students studied. And George and Harold went back to their mischief. Teachers fart stained underwear. After school, George and Harold climbed up their treehouse to do their homework. The yesterday versions of some busy playing video games and reading comics. How was school today? Said yesterday George. Meh, said George. Did you learn anything new? Asked yesterday Harold. Meh. Nah, said Harold, struggling with all appearances. Things had finally returned to normal. But at night, Mr. Meter winkered away at his makeshift laboratory inside an old abandoned factory near Prince Pond. He was developing a powerful mind control potion that would turn even the most willfully child and into a brainlessly obedient conformist, mixing a based mixture of psyllium through pilicum. Mr. Meter added literal dozens of vertical acid decontamination and chemical juice. Then he filtered the solution through an old dirty pile of gem socks. A contusion smelled horrible. Its sensor effect would be worse. My formula has been ready for human trials, said Mr. Meter. Now I know exactly which humans I am going to try on. Chapter 10 Spreading. The next day, Mr. Meter showed up looking a little different than usual. He still wore the same smelly, sweaty shirt and sweaty pants that he had on all week. Nothing new there. But somehow, something about him has changed. It was yesterday George and yesterday Harold turned to their school and do homework that day, but the boys difficultly went to their classes and did everything they were supposed to do. A few things were not supposed to do, and a few things they were not supposed to do. Enjoy a fart sandwich. Everything seemed normal until gym class. Mr. Meter excused the rest of the kids, but not yesterday George and yesterday Harold. Boys, said Mr. Meter, I would like to see you in my office. Permitto. But why? Asked yesterday George. We didn't do anything. Probably. Mr. pointed to his office door. In my office. Now! He shouted. Yesterday George and yesterday Harold sneaked into Mr. Meter's office, real filthy office. He has been there before, and they hated the smell of it. It wrinkled a mold rat unit and a poiled sweat of thousands of termite souls. But today, some strange reason, it smelled even worse than usual. Yesterday, George and yesterday, Harold climbed into the sticky, VG chairs and held their breaths. Well, 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 said Mr. Meter. He closed the door behind him and approached our heroes. Looks like we're alone at last. What's going on? Asked yesterday George suspiciously. Yeah, said yesterday Harold. We got to go to our next class. Oh, there were plenty of classes and study and homework, replied Mr. Meaner. But first, I would like you to help me out with a little experiment. Mr. Meaner lifted his arms, revealing the two medical sprays noses under his Christie impits. Say hello to my stinky friends, he shouted. Laughed and noses spread those two brown cloud bursting, choking nonsense stink. Chapter 11. Well, I'm gonna stop here and I'll make part 4 later on, you know what I mean? Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you have a good time. Bye. Wait, hold on. Bye.